Welcome back to my channel. Before we get started, make sure to click on the subscribe button so that we get to 20k. I promise you that you will find my videos interesting and intriguing. Don't forget to like and share your own take at the end of the video. So in this video, a Korean man answers a question from my fellow black sister. Now, it is no secret that Koreans hate black people, and in this video, a Korean man answers or gives the reasons why Koreans hate black people. Now, the racism, especially in South Korea, comprises negative attitudes and views on race or ethnicity which are related to each other and are held by various groups and people in South Korea. Now, these have been reflected in discriminatory laws, practices, and actions, including violence at various times in the history of South Korea against racial or ethnic groups, which has been recognized as a widespread social problem in the country. Now, this is really an interesting video that I think you wouldn't want to miss. So check out his response for more context. I will be right back.
Thank you, Miss Meti. Forgive you for asking the right question. You gotta forgive us, Koreans, for having the tendency to look down upon you guys. Let me give a little tweak on a question just to make it a little easier for me to answer you, okay? How about putting it this way? Why do Koreans have the propensity for leaning towards brighter colored people compared to the darker ones? Why? Have Africans ever invaded Korea? Have Africans ever taken away anything from Korea? No. Then why? Why do Koreans have the proclivity for favoring the light-colored ones compared to the colored people? This is all because I believe racism is taught at a very subconscious level. No one can say that officially Koreans favor light-colored people and detest darker ones. No one can say this out loud. But in reality, it's everywhere. Why? Because Koreans are taught to do so. This is all because Korea is hugely impacted by the US forces and the USA. So what's happening back in the States in terms of racism is exactly happening in Korea. Koreans are taught to favor bright-colored people compared to the darker ones. Hopefully, this is helpful to you in understanding the racism here in the country. But hopefully one day, we all be colorblind so that such questions like yours can no longer exist. But for the time being, racism here in Korea can be a hurdle for you, but I believe your love for Korea is greater than those obstacles. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.
Now, South Korea lacks an anti-discrimination law which was recommended by the UN Human Rights Committee in 2015. The law has been reported stalled due to lack of public consensus, and an increase in immigration to South Korea since the 2000s catalyzed more overt expressions of racism as well as criticism of those expressions. Now, newspapers have frequently reported on and criticized discrimination against immigrants in forms such as being paid lower than the minimum wage, having their wages withheld, unsafe working conditions, physical abuse, or general denigration. Now, in the 2017 to 2020 World Value Survey, of the 1,245 South Koreans surveyed, 15.2% reported that they would not want someone of a different race as a neighbor. Now, this represents a sharp decrease from the 2010 to 2014 World Value Survey, where of 1,200 South Koreans surveyed, 34.1% mentioned stating that they would not want someone of a different race as a neighbor. Now, in the 2010 to 2014 survey, 44.2% reported they would not want immigrants or foreign workers as neighbors. But by the 2017 to 2020 report, this figure was 22.0%. Now, according to a report of the Committee on the Elimination of Racial Discrimination, undocumented migrant children are left without many of the rights enjoyed by their South Korean counterparts. The process used to determine refugee status is designed not to protect refugees, but to keep them out. Now, migrant workers are only allowed to change their job with their old employer's permission. Migrant workers who work in agricultural sector, small businesses, and domestic services are the most vulnerable to discrimination because of the temporary nature of their work. Now, most Koreans therefore resist the idea of multiple cultures within Korea to the extent that even if an individual is born and raised in the state but is of different ethnic parenthood, such individuals are not fully regarded as Koreans. Foreigners are evaluated based on skin color, nationality. Palm color people from Europe and North America are privileged and inability to speak Korean. Now, studies that examine the experience of foreign university students, Kim and Kim 2020, foreign English teachers, grade 2017, and foreign workers all suggest that there has been a long history of fluctuations that incorporated distant admiration of foreigners and passive resistance and discrimination. Now, in some quarters, foreigners are perceived as threats to the concept of one Korea, and as a consequence, face barriers that deny them to integrate culturally. Now, the prevailing belief is that multiculturalism is about assimilating others into a dominant Korean culture. This is evidenced by attitudes and sentiments geared towards integrating a foreigner into the superior Korean way of life. Now, in general, literature suggests that the Korean state and Koreans have mixed feelings towards foreigners. On one hand, immigrants were perceived to have increased crime rates, but on the other hand, non-Koreans had also contributed to the development of Korean society. Now, this echoes findings from the Asian Institute of Policy Studies that indicated that 80% of survey participants believed Koreans had no issues with foreigners, and 65% indicated support for multicultural families. Now, the study also suggested that younger Koreans with better education, overseas travels, and exposure were more open to foreigners and in favor of multiracial families compared to older Koreans. Now, these findings may, however, not fully represent today's realities, due in part to recent significant influx of new migrants from Africa, increasing populist politics within Korea that reflects the rise of populism globally, and just as so many other things. We have finally come to the end of the video. Feel free to share your own thoughts or maybe your experiences in Korea. Thank you for watching and see you in my next video.
Once a day that I would pray for you, I'd go and misbehave just so you'd notice too. Sneaking looks up and down from across the room. Damn, what a hell of a view. I feel